back in 2020, whenever everything happened and I was attacked, I had said that if and when there were any updates or anything new, I would share that. And up to now, there really just hasn't been anything to say. My body has been healing itself as much as it possibly can. And at this point, there's really nothing more, I don't think, that I can heal. The healing is pretty much complete, and what you see is what you get. I had thought that I was going to move ahead with trying to pursue some type of plastic surgery because my breathing has not been very good ever since that happened. Because of different things that were going on at the time, I decided to halt that. Now I've made the decision to pursue it again. One, because this is something that impacts my quality of life and my self-esteem, and I feel like I owe it to myself to try to improve things if I have the option to. And then two, I am a little bit worried that if I don't do this now, because of the way everything is going with the medical system and everything, if I wait too much longer, I won't have the option to. I know that sounds crazy, but that's my perspective on it. So today we are going to Houston. We're going to the Houston VA. I have an appointment at 10:30 to see the plastics department there, to get a consult to see what my options are, basically. I don't know what they're gonna say, so we're gonna be finding that out today and finding out what my options are going forward. I'm a little bit nervous. But I want to share this. I don't know where this is going to go. I intend to kind of carry this vlog through until some sort of conclusion, so I have no idea when this will wrap up and when all of you will see it, but right now it is 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday the 17th, and my appointment's at 10:30, so we have about a 2.5 hour drive ahead of us, and then we'll see what happens. But this is like basically I'm formally reopening my my chapter, my story with healing and trying to improve my overall quality of life following a dog attack that almost killed me. So, welcome. We are about to walk inside. We finally found parking. It's always a circus here. They probably don't take too kindly to people filming in here, so we're gonna go in, get this over with, and see you on the other side. All right, update time.
That was a little bit of a frantic hour.
We kind of had a frantic morning. When we get home, I will go over the medical paperwork that I got whenever I was in Houston. But we decided, for simplicity's sake, because of the dogs, to board them the night and then morning of my surgery, which I guess, spoiler alert,
she's having surgery.
I'm gonna have surgery. So we just left the vet. We had to go and get them all updated on their vaccinations and make sure they had the kennel cough vaccination as well, since they're gonna be boarded while we are in Houston. It just seemed like it would be a lot simpler to do that than to have to worry about like having somebody come to the property to take care of them. And it was just, this way we know that they'll be taking care of. The kennel that they're going to is like top notch. So today's been a little bit hectic, but in a good way. Things are happening and things are getting done, which is the most that I could hope for. It is Friday, December 3rd, so it's been a couple of weeks since I had my initial appointment. So I'm just gonna go over everything that they said and what the plan going forward is. I went in there hoping for something, for them to be able to do something. I honestly didn't know what my options would be, and I walked out of there feeling a lot better than when I had went in, because I was afraid that they were going to say, like, there's nothing that we can do, like, it just is what it is. And it didn't happen. So first I met with the nurse, and she took down all of my information, some general Q&A about like my face and my breathing and everything, nerve damage and that kind of thing. And then the plastic surgeon, one of them that they have, came in and sat down and like was looking at my face and asking me questions about my nose, and like she looked up my nose to like look at my nasal passages and everything. And at first, when she first got in there, she was it seemed like she was leaning towards like, yeah, maybe there isn't a whole lot that we can do. But then as time progressed and we were sitting there just talking about everything, she said that, actually after I've been sitting here kind of looking at everything, I actually do think there's some areas that we can improve upon. The first thing she said, as far as my lip is concerned, like it's pretty stiff, and the mobility is not back to 100%. She said that really there isn't a whole lot that they can probably do about that, because when everything happened, it tore through the muscle up here, and the way that it was put back together is the way that it's going to be, because you can't really do anything more with muscle. Like it just is what it is. And I kind of thought that might be the case, and that's okay. But she said that as far as my nose is concerned, she was like looking and pressing and pulling. That neither side has the breathing been great since everything happened, but this nostril is significantly, like noticeably smaller than this one is, because when everything happened, it like tore straight through my nasal passage right here, so they had to like reconstruct it, and it's like smaller and like not as correct as the other side. And she like pressed right here, and she was like, what does this do for your breathing? And I was like, it like opened up my nasal passage, like I feel like I have better movement of air. And she said that what they could probably do is go in, and it's basically just going to be a rhinoplasty, like a nose job. But they'll go in and they'll take cartilage from like my ear or something like that, and put it into and like reconstruct the nasal passage so that it's a little bit more like open. And they will put a stent in to hold everything in place and open until everything heals like it should. And then if everything goes according to plan, and she said she saw no reason why it shouldn't, then after that, like, things should be significantly, markedly improved. She said that as far as like this side of my face is concerned, like my smile like droops a little bit, like it's not even like it used to be. She said that is because the nerves through this part of my face were severed when everything happened, and so basically that like slight droopiness is nerve damage, and there's nothing that they can do about that. So at the very least, they can go in and do something to improve my breathing, which would really improve upon my just general quality of life. It's kind of a mixed bag of results, I guess, because a part of me was kind of hoping that I would go in there and they'd be like, yeah, we can fix everything. Like everything is, 100% correctable, and like you'll come out and, after recovery and everything, you'll never know that anything happened. They didn't say that. That's okay. I knew that was probably a pretty lofty wish, but there are a few things that they can do. And after that, things started moving really, really fast. They're like, when are you available? Like, what are your plans this coming month in December? Blah, blah, blah. And they were able to schedule me for surgery on December 13th, which is a Monday, which is crazy, like crazy soon, because I thought I was going to go in and they were going to do this pre-op like examination thing, not even a pre-op, just like an examination to see what my options were. And then they were going to tell me like, yeah, there's a really long wait list, you might have to wait 6 months or whatever. Like that's what I thought was going to happen, and instead it was like very, very quick. Like, yeah, let's knock this out, let's get it done, let's get you in here, like send us your medical paperwork, we'll take a look at it, we'll get the surgeon to look at it, no reason we can't knock this out. Not only that, but the surgery itself is an outpatient surgery, so she said that I will most likely be under for about 2.5 hours, and then I'll wake up, I'll recover, and I'll be able to go home that night. So it won't be this huge lengthy process where I'm like in the hospital for days recovering and everything like I was last time, because this is a much cleaner, simpler procedure. They're not putting me back together again like they were last time. So that's pretty cool. I made the decision to just go ahead and move forward with it because why wouldn't I? I mean, this is what I was hoping for. I was hoping that I would go in there and they'd be able to tell me something. I wasn't prepared for it to be so quick. That kind of did take me aback a little bit, but I mean, why don't we just get it over with, you know? And Stuart and I are back in Texas. We're going to be in Texas for the winter. We have the time. We're in the area. Like, it makes sense to just get this done and get it out of the way. So they gave me this paperwork here. It's the plastic surgery pre-op checklist, and I'll just take you over some of the things that I had to do. So that day that I had that initial appointment, I went ahead and knocked out 3 things. I had to go get a chest x-ray, they had to do an EKG, and then I had to do a blood lab so that they can check everything and make sure I'm good to go and there's no like health concerns that they need to be aware of beforehand. I have a pre-op appointment, like an official pre-op appointment on December 10th, which is a Friday. It's a week from today as I'm filming this. I'm gonna go in, I have to go in the morning and get a COVID test. Couldn't avoid it. It's a standard procedure and like requirement for them for anybody undergoing surgery. So I had to go ahead and submit to that. I'll have that done that morning, and then I will sit down with the anesthesiologist to go through their checklist of whatever it is that they have, all the questions that they have to ask and the permissions that I have to authorize and sign and all that stuff. That will be done that day. And then I'll have a follow-up with the actual surgeon that will be doing the procedure, because it's not going to be the woman that I met with back in November. It's going to be somebody else. He is actually a civilian plastic surgeon who, if it's the same person, they have a few different people who they like rotate through, but they basically have civilian plastic surgeons who volunteer their time to come in a couple of days a week and do this type of work, basically pro bono, which is pretty incredible. So that day I'll be meeting with whoever it is that's going to be doing my surgery, either him or somebody else that they mentioned, and we'll be going over all the finer points, and I'll update that when I know more. The last thing, which is pretty cool, and I didn't even know that this was an option, Sunday night, so the night before my surgery, which is a Monday morning, they are going to be putting me up in a hotel in Houston so that I'm in the area, because Stuart and I live really, really far from Houston. It's several hours, and it's like an all-day affair to get there and get back. And so I basically qualify for lodging under their like rules and everything that they have. So the VA is going to pay to put Stuart and I both up into a hotel. It's a Wyndham that they have a contract with, and I'll be in the area. So we'll go in Sunday night, and then Monday morning I'll have surgery, and then Monday later on that day I'll be able to come home. So that is why we were rushing around like crazy people earlier today, because we want to just go ahead and board the dogs for Sunday night into Monday. It's a lot simpler. We'll know they'll be 100% taken care of. We won't be like pawning them off on anybody else to take care of while we're gone. It'll just be a lot better scenario for all parties involved, and that way I'm not worried about them, and then Stuart isn't worried about them while he's also trying to take care of me and get me home. So that is the update. That's a lot, and a lot more than I was expecting. I thought this was going to be a much more drug out process, and it doesn't look like it's going to be, which is really cool. I am nervous about it, obviously. I mean, I think it's normal to be nervous if you're going to go have surgery, but I'm nervous just because I'm worried I'm going to have the surgery and nothing will improve. It will change nothing, in which case it will be a lot of discomfort for zero gain. And also, the last time I had like a facial surgery, obviously the circumstances were different. It was a lot more violent, but I was knocked off my feet for a really long time, and it took me like a year to fully recover and get back to where I had been before everything happened, to regain all of my strength and like heal and everything. That's in the back of my mind, and it makes me nervous, but I'm not willing to let that like fear and those nerves hold me back, because I want to improve my quality of life, and this is something that I'm able to do. I'm really, really fortunate that the VA considers all of the injuries service connected, which means that all of the care, the surgery that I'm going to have, all of that stuff is going to be taken care of and covered by the VA. So it's not going to cost me anything, which is really, really incredible. And I'm so grateful for that. So that is the update for now. Whenever my appointment Friday comes around, I will update once again and we will just go from there. But things are really moving along. So it's about 3 till 10 and I have my pre-op with the surgeon at 10 o'clock, and then I think I have my appointment with like the anesthesiologist at 11, and I'm curious to see what the surgeon says since it's a different one than the one that I was originally going to have. I wasn't exactly sure what to expect going into it. I figured that I would be meeting with the one surgeon, but actually once I got in there I met with 2 surgeons and a resident and like I guess he was an intern, I don't exactly know, maybe another resident. So I was like surrounded by people who were looking at me, checking me out, looking up my nose, asking me questions. It ended up being a really, really good appointment. They asked me like if there were any things that I wanted them to make sure that they addressed, because they're going to try to go in and be as uninvasive as they possibly can. They said that they didn't want to go out of their way to create any more trauma than they absolutely had to, which I really appreciated. I told them that if there's anything they could do about this bunching of scar tissue right here, that would be awesome. They said that they thought they could. And I said that if they could do anything about the fact that my nostrils are a little bit uneven, even if it meant that my nose looked different than it did before all of this, that was fine, because let's be real, it looks different than it did before regardless. And they said that they could. They said that they're going to go in, open everything up, and they're hoping that the cartilage from my septum is in decently good shape, because if it is, then they can use that cartilage, which would be ideal, to rebuild this nasal passage. If not, there are a few options that they can pursue, up to and including using like cadaver cartilage, or if they really had to, they could take some out of my rib, but they really don't want to have to do that if they don't have to. They said that they thought, based off of what they were seeing, and they did have me go and get a CT scan that day so that they would have a little bit more information, but they think that my septum is a little bit deviated, which would make sense. That follows for me based off of everything that has happened, and my breathing and everything. That would make a lot of sense, but they said they won't know for sure until they get in there and actually look at everything. But regardless, they can definitely make some improvements, and hopefully in the long term it'll improve my overall quality of life, which is the entire reason that I'm doing this. After that pre-op appointment, I went and I did my sit down with the anesthesiologist, which was really just a whole bunch of question and answer. And then one of the nurses gave me this bag, Piggly Wiggly bag, and it has these like surgery wipes in them, which anybody who's ever had any kind of major surgery knows what these are. You like wipe yourself down the night before and then the morning of, and it's to like create a sterile environment to prevent infection, even though we all know that if you're going to get an infection, it's going to be in the hospital, but I digress. They said that there's going to be a lot of swelling, which I expected, and that it can take a long time for all of it to go down, anywhere from like 6 months to a year to 2 years for it to like completely go away, which I know from before. But they said that I should be able to see like pretty much what everything's gonna look like within like 2 weeks to a month. So yeah, that was pretty much it. So the plan now is Friday I have to drive to Lufkin and get a COVID test, which is tons of fun and I'm super psyched about. And then Sunday, we will drive down to Houston, check into the hotel that the VA gave us, and then Monday morning I will be having surgery. I'm supposed to find out Friday what time my surgery will be, but I'm assuming it's going to be in the morning because that's just what makes sense. So that's the update as it sits right now. We'll keep you guys posted. So we checked into our hotel. It's the night before my surgery. I never ended up hearing anything back about my COVID test, so I'm assuming no news is good news because the guy that called me on like Saturday to run me through the checklist of, you know, don't eat anything after midnight, only have water before, blah, blah, blah. He told me that if it came back positive, they would absolutely let me know and someone would be reaching out to me. I never heard anything, so I'm operating under the assumption that good to go. We went and got dinner at a really nice Italian place called Antipasto's in like Chinatown, and it was really, really good. Now we're just gonna wind down, try to relax, hopefully get some sleep. My surgery is at 5:30 tomorrow morning, or at least that's when they want me to show up. So it's really early, but I'm hoping that means I'll get in and get out, you know, relatively quickly, and I'll be home at a reasonable time tomorrow in my own bed. So that's what I'm like trying to stay focused on, is just getting to the other side of it. I've been having just like random intermittent attacks of nerves the last like day and a half or so, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about the surgery, thinking about the recovery. There's some unknowns, but I'm also worried that it's going to be very similar to last time. And I know, like, breathing wise and everything, obviously it's going to be kind of similar, but it's going to be different in a lot of ways too, and I kind of don't know what to expect, so we'll see how it goes. That's pretty much it, I think. I'm just trying to relax and be positive and hope for the best. Tomorrow Stuart's going to have my camera until I am, you know, lucid enough to take back over. So whenever there's news and an update, you guys will get it.
How do you feel? Nervous? Any other feelings you want to document?
No, not really. I just want it to be over.
Yeah. We'll see you on the other side. So it's now 6:40 in the morning, and I just got to the truck and left Rebecca in the hospital there. She's got to still get the anesthesia and then get put out, then have the surgery, then wake up, and then I'll get a phone call. So that's how the whole thing works for me. So right now it's a waiting game. I have no clue how long it's going to take. Don't imagine it's going to take all day because this is an outpatient thing. But we're going to go get some breakfast from the hotel, check on the dogs, and update family. That's where we're at so far. Insert anxiously awaiting. How did everything go?
I have no idea.
Oh, well, how do you feel?
Good. Tired.
Yeah. The doctor called me and said they were able to do absolutely everything that they wanted to, and they said it was like a major success. And
wow.
They said you're gonna like it.
Oh, that's such good news. I'm so happy.
Yeah, they said you won't be able to breathe out of your nose until you get your stents taken out in 1 week.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll see you soon, okay, honey?
Okay, take care of yourself. We'll be here waiting for you.
Well, okay. I love you.
I love you too. Bye. Finally! It's like 3 o'clock. Are y'all ready to see Mom? Do you miss Mom? I know I do. Got a call and she is on her way down. So we're gonna pull up to the valet thing and then see if we can't take our honey home.
So it's early. We're about to head to my appointment. I haven't been sleeping super well. I didn't really sleep much last night or the night before. Now that I don't have anything stronger than like Tylenol to like kind of help lull me to sleep. Yeah, sleep has been really, really difficult. So I'm really hoping that all this stuff goes away today, at least the stents, because if I could just breathe normally, it would really improve everything just by leaps and bounds. So see how it goes, see what they have to say.
What?
Want to look up my nose?
Do I want to look up your nose? I'll look up your nose.
What do you see?
Looks like a nose.
Well, if I wasn't awake before I went in there, getting those stents pulled out of my nose definitely got me there. It was so painful, but everything's out. I can breathe. They took out all the stitches. There's obviously still swelling and everything, but all that stuff's just gonna continue to go down. They're gonna see me back in like a week, and I mean, it's just gonna get better from here. I mean, my quality of life went from like way down here this morning to like way up here. I'm so happy to be able to breathe again. I feel like I got a new lease on life. And Stuart was asking me like if I could breathe 100% before, what was I at post like my last surgery? And I said that I was at like 75 to 80%. And then he asked what I'm at now, and I said that I think I'm at like 90 to 95%. Like I can breathe so well. Like obviously I have some drainage and stuff, like things are kind of freaked out up there right now. But it's such a huge improvement on how it was before. And I'm gonna go like eat some food that I'll actually be able to taste, so that's really exciting too. So yeah, that's the update, and I'll update you guys again whenever there's something new. So whenever I was at my last appointment, they put these things called Steri Strips across the bridge of my nose, basically just sterile sticky pieces of gauze, and they gave me some extras, and I'm gonna put the last set on tonight because I have another checkup tomorrow. So I thought that I would do that on camera so that you guys can kind of see how everything is looking. I'm really, really happy with how everything is healing, and I think the Steri Strips are kind of helping everything heal and like stay smooth. It's not something they gave me when I had my first surgery, and I kind of wish they would have, because I feel like it would have helped a little bit. But so I still have some like scabbing up there. That would probably be gone by now if I hadn't been having these Steri Strips over my nose the whole time. But those are pretty much on there 24/7. They told me to leave those on there, so I have been. But that's what my nose looks like right now. I think there's still a little bit of swelling, especially in the tip. I feel like the tip is still pretty swollen, but there's no pain or anything like that. It just feels really, really stiff. It's crazy how even everything looks, and like the scar line and everything. There's no bunching or anything like that like there was originally, because they basically just went in through that original scar. So, and the like profile, the side profile of my nose, the bridge of it is so much smoother, but you can really see the swelling still over here. So I'm pretty happy. So we are sitting at about 2 months post-op now, and I had intended to do this final sit-down portion a whole lot sooner than I'm doing it right now, but there's just been a lot of stuff happening in our lives, a lot of good things, but it's kept us very, very busy, and this is the first opportunity that I've had to sit down and do this. But I want to wrap everything up now because I feel like this is a good time to do it. I feel like what I wanted to accomplish in doing this little documentary of my experience has been accomplished. Mainly, I just wanted to put something out there for people who have had something similar happen to them. I wanted to kind of show what can happen long term, how things can improve, and how the trauma and damage that you undergo initially isn't permanent. It doesn't have to be the way your life is now, and there is like a light at the end of the tunnel. Because back in 2020, I did my video where I sat down and told my story of everything that had happened, and that was a couple of months after the attack. So my face was still very, very raw, and it was very obvious that I had been through some trauma. And I can understand why, if somebody saw that, they might feel kind of hopeless, thinking that if something similar has happened, that's how they're going to look. The face that they see in the mirror, you know, a month, 2 months, 6 months post reconstruction is just how it's going to be. And it doesn't have to be that way. There are options. Modern medicine is really, really wonderful. Plastic surgery is incredible, and there is a way through it all. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this, because when I was looking for stories on YouTube about people who had been through something similar, there just really wasn't a whole lot. There were 1 or 2 videos about somebody who had experienced something like this. They were filmed relatively quickly after everything happened, but nothing like this. And so I wanted to put this out there for that reason, and maybe give somebody some hope. It's been a really interesting process that I am so thankful that I decided to go through, even though it was challenging and a little bit traumatizing at times. It was 100% worth it, and I'm so thankful that I had the chance to do it and that I chose to do it. There was a lot that happened throughout the last months leading up to surgery, especially when my initial surgery date was canceled and then moved up to January. That was really, really hard. I didn't really talk about it a whole lot because it just took all the wind out of my sails. Like, I was so worked up and ready to go knock out this surgery and like get into recovery, and I had it in my mind's eye that like New Year would come around and I'd be a whole new person, and I'd be, stepping into 2022 with a surgery behind me, and then that didn't end up happening, and I just felt deflated. And it was easier to just not talk about it, and for storyline's sake, that could have been a little bit confusing, but I just honestly didn't want to share it. And it was hard to just talk about it because I just felt so let down. But everything happens for a reason. That's something that I've always said. And I truly believe that this happened for a very good reason. I ended up with an incredible surgeon and an incredible team of doctors and nurses who really took care of me and tried to make sure that I came out of the experience with the results that I wanted. It happened during the same month of my attack. The attack happened in January of 2020, and I had my reconstructive surgery in January of 2022, literally within days of my original surgery. So there was something that felt very, I don't know, it felt like there was some divine influence there. It felt like the culmination or a coming of full circle in everything. And I really appreciated that, and I thought that was really, really cool, the way that it all worked out. It's all just been, a continuous uphill progression from there. Like, things just keep getting better and better. I had a lot of people say that they couldn't really see any damage, and that's something that I kind of want to talk about, because if you're somebody who's been through something like this and you're contemplating going through and having a surgery like this, if there are people in your life who are telling you that you don't look that bad, or they can't even tell that something happened, or it's not that obvious, it might make you feel like you aren't justified for wanting to pursue surgery. And it really doesn't matter at the end of the day what anybody else says. It's all about how you feel and how it affects your mental and emotional well-being and your physical well-being as well, especially like in my case where I just couldn't breathe. I had people tell me that they couldn't see anything, that it wasn't obvious, and I really, really appreciate the fact that they would say things like that, but at the end of the day I felt like it was something that I needed to do for my own well-being. And if you feel like that, then you are justified in that, and that's the only justification that you need. I think it's really, really important to remember, if you're watching this and you're thinking that you can't really see any difference between me, 4 months ago versus me now, the internet hides a multitude of sins. And what I mean by that is that the photos that you see on social media, the videos I post on my story, the posts that I post on my feed, everything is edited. I use filters. I like to use presets. I edit all of my photos. Even the videos that you see on YouTube, a lot of the time they just don't show the reality of it because I'm not showing every little tiny detail. I want to be upfront and honest about that because you just probably didn't see everything, and you certainly didn't see everything that I saw when I looked in the mirror, and that's just something to kind of keep in mind. I feel like I kind of got a new lease on life. It's just had such a positive impact on my mental health and my perspective of myself. When I look in the mirror, yes, there are still scar lines. There are still things that are healing and are going to continue to heal for a number of years going forward, but more or less, it just feels less severe. And especially because I can breathe so well now. There are so many times where I find myself taking deep breaths because I'm able to do that, and I'm not as congested, and my nasal passages are open, and I can do 45 minutes worth of yoga and not be just completely congested and clogged up at the end of it and unable to breathe, which was my life for all of those months prior to this surgery. So that has been absolutely incredible. I have nothing but good things to say about this experience and my team of surgeons and everything. I feel so fortunate that I was able to do this. Before I close this video out, I want to invite Stuart to come and sit with me, because as much as this was an experience about me, he went through it all with me, and I kind of want to give him a chance to kind of speak to his experience and what he saw, because this was something that impacted him as much as it impacted me. Yes, I went through the physical aspects of it, but mentally and emotionally, the things that we went through together were very intertwined, and none of us exist in a vacuum. And I just want to give you a chance to kind of talk a little bit. I don't feel like I could have done this without your support.
Well, thank you. I feel that the coolest part of this is that you knocked out, over a long course of time, taking care of your mental and emotional health. And now that you've had this second surgery, that's really kind of completed the triangle in the physical aspect. It's really cool to see that, because as it affected you emotionally, it also affected me. I was there through a lot of it, and seeing your growth has really helped me. And so I just wanted to say I'm proud of you. You done good. That's basically it, without getting too...
I could have gone through this, I am sure. If I had been alone, I would have found a way through it. But having you with me, you gave me your strength during points when I really, really needed it. And we all need somebody to lean on at some points in our lives, and to have a support system as positive and strong as the one that I have 100% had a positive impact on how I have come through all of this. That is pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here. I don't know what else is in the future for me and in my recovery. I mean, more or less how things look now is how they are going to look, but there is a lot happening beneath the surface beneath my skin. Things are still healing, and they're going to be healing for a long time going forward. And that makes me feel really good, because I feel like things can only continue to improve and get better. But I hope that if you're somebody who sought out this video because you went through something traumatic like a dog attack, this will give you some hope and some perspective. If you want to talk, please feel free to reach out. My DMs on social media are always open. I love talking to people and lending some support in any way that I can. It helps me to know that I am helping other people, and if I can do that and use everything that has happened in some way to benefit somebody else, then all the better. This is the part in my videos where I would normally say, like, you know, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and blah blah blah, but that feels really, really cheap, so I'm not going to do that this time. Instead, I'm just going to say, if you watched the entire video, thank you so much. Thank you for those of you who have given me your support up until this point. It's meant more than you can possibly know, and I hope I'll see you for my next video, whenever and wherever that may be.